Folks, I'm going to tell you a story of a time when I was at a carrier. Not going to speak of the carrier. I've been a part of a handful of indexed annuity and index UL carriers, but I'm going to tell you a story that speaks to this question right here, which with my background, 20 years on the corporate side, now I'm on the distribution side running my own IMO. With my background, I'm in a unique position to answer this question here, the topic of conversation. What is the question? Hey, Charlie, so in the IUL or indexed annuity world, do some carriers play games with their caps? Or is that all just a big conspiracy theory? Do some carriers play games with their caps based off of your firsthand observations in the carrier world? So for me to answer that question, I sit back and I think, yes, some do. Does a bear have fur? Yes, a bear has fur. So here's a story once upon a time. And the point is, and I'm not going to talk about the company, who is the company. I'll never, disclose who the company is because it's not about that. The point is understand what carriers you're doing business with. The point is do business with IMOs that understand the carriers that they represent. Do the carriers publish their renewal rate history, for example? How do the carriers treat brand new contracts versus older contracts that maybe is in runoff mode, so to speak? How do they treat the caps on the redheaded stepchild, so to speak, versus the new product that they just launched? Is there a difference in caps? So that's the point to this, but here's the story. So I'd been on the job for like a month. And again, the company, I'm not going to tell anybody who. It's irrelevant. Been on the job for a month. I'm in the rate setting committee. And that's where, the actuaries that set the cap rates as time goes by, as well as the main sales folks, the sales leaders come together. And many times it's the president or whatever of the company, because sales is important and rates are important to sales. So they come together once a month or so and they determine, hey, based off of the macro and microeconomic environment, do we keep our caps as is? Do we increase them? Do we decrease them? Do we increase participation rates? Call option budgets have done this. We're usually provided with little Excel spreadsheets. Call option budget is this based off of our whatever general account yield or new money rates. Here's the price of call options today based off the VIX, blah, 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 blah. And we need to increase cap, or we can increase caps, or we need to decrease caps, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, that's the rate setting committee that happens behind closed doors at the carriers. Every month, usually every month. So anyway, I'm in this rate setting committee about a month on the job. And the main actuary looks to the president of the company and says this, hey, we need to decrease caps. Even though the pricing environment is the same, we need to decrease caps. What does the president do? He yells. He goes off and says, why are we doing this? The interest rate environment is the same. Call option budget or call option prices are the same. Why are we doing this? We just launched this product 6 months ago. We have the oohs and the ahs. We're gaining distribution. Sales are freaking taking off. Everybody's making a ton of money. No, he didn't say that. But he says, why are we doing this? The actuary looks at him and says, do you remember 6 months ago before we launched this product, I gave you two options. Option one was this, that we launched the product with sustainable pricing so that if our general account yield is the same, if call option prices are the same, volatility the same, then that cap is sustainable. But the second option I gave you was to where we launch, I'll call it a teaser cap, where we launch a big cap and unbeknownst to the public, eventually we have to decrease that cap because that's unsustainable. But hey, in the meantime, we'll get new distribution to this new product. Everybody will love us. And then we'll just worry about dropping the caps later on. Those chickens will come home to roost later on. And President, the chickens are coming home to roost today because the pricing is unsustainable. Do you remember that? You chose option two. And I'm, of course, doing one of these things, looking at him, thinking, what the hell did I just get myself into here? The point to all of this is yes, there are things sometimes that go into how caps are set, usually upon renewal, right? How caps are set that doesn't necessarily relate to true economics. It relates to integrity or the lack thereof. So the point here is it's not a conspiracy theory when you talk to that old advisor who seems jaded about everything. who seems jaded about everything. They say, oh, the insurance company, the teaser rates. No, that's not a conspiracy theory. That sometimes is in fact true. So you have to know who you're doing business with as a carrier. Do business with IMOs that will help educate you on which carriers publish their history, which carriers treat old products similar to the new products, et cetera, et cetera. So there's my quick food for thought.